This time on Finnegan's Garage, we finally reveal to you the mystery project car we've been hiding for over a year. Good morning or afternoon or whatever it is, wherever you're at. I am driving the family 1969 El Camino. You guys might remember this. I restored it with some help of some friends a few years ago and gave it to my wife on our wedding anniversary as a surprise, and she cried. It was awesome. Oh, there it is. Here comes the tears.
Oh my God, my grandpa's car. This is actually a drivable car.
Oh yeah. And today, I drove the car to take my kids to school in, because it's one of the few cars we have that has seating for 3. And the other reason I drove it was the kids were having a parade at their school for all the athletes that did really well this year. The school baseball team won its state championship. We had a golfer that did real well. Like, it's pretty exciting. So the whole school was turning out, and the athletes were going to parade around the school in cool cars. So I went and drove this, and it was a lot of fun. And now I'm parking it back in the warehouse where it's safe, because it's summertime. Car doesn't have air conditioning, so we don't drive it much in hot Atlanta during the summer. But when we get to the warehouse, the other thing we're doing is we're picking up the super secret squirrel car, the one I haven't really told you guys about. Most of you have figured out what it is thanks to Google image search, and also because I didn't realize it. The car was kind of famous on the internet already, because an online drag racing magazine had already done a story on it when it was a roller, well before I ever bought the car. And anyway, so yeah, good on you. A lot of you already know what it is. I don't know why I don't want to say it out loud. I guess it's dumb, but I'm just not ready. And I don't know, maybe I'm still not ready. But for now, we're taking a break from working on the Cadillac, which I've been working on the GMC, which Joe and I have been working on, and we're gonna go shuttle the super secret squirrel project car. All right, in the warehouse. The plan is to go through some body parts there, load them in the Tundra, take those. Yes, I still have the Tundra. I still don't have a new tow rig yet, but shout out to Aikens Ford in Winder, Georgia. They rent trucks. This is a rental. F-250 single rear wheel, 6.7 power stroke. Awesome truck. This is not mine. But mine is nearly here. I did end up ordering one from those guys because they could get it quicker than everyone else. And car's in the box. We're gonna grab some body parts here because I bought this car and it's a very rare car. I've told you guys that before. And my worry with this car was that when we start running it, if something goes wrong and I, have something blow off the car at 200 miles an hour, it's gonna be hard to find replacement parts. I can't just go out and buy carbon fiber or fiberglass parts. And so I called my friend Rutledge Wood, who you guys probably know, and I said, hey, you're kind of affiliated with the company that made this car. Do they have any that they want to sell some parts off of? One of the development mules for this car was about to get crushed out in Plano, Texas. And I just happened to call at the right time, had a friend who was driving cross country and said, yo, can you quickly rent a U-Haul trailer and go there because they're about to strip this car for me. And I ended up with a spare set of doors, which are up there, and spare fenders, spare trunk, spare roof panel, spare ground effects, spare parts, which is good because some of the stuff on this car I'm not thrilled with. Like the rear bumper, somebody put a hole in it and put a random toggle switch back there. Like the kind of old school thing you'd see people racing, and the guy at the starting line behind the car would flip on the switch for the data acquisition system. There's a hole there for that. The front end of the car really was never attached very well, and it's got fasteners in places that I wouldn't put them. And so the doors have been completely gutted. The power windows are out of them. So's the structure's all been cut out. And so I want this to be more of a street car. So I'm stoked. I have factory doors up there with the power windows and the mirrors. And I have some body panels that are probably in a little bit better shape than what we have. So we're going to mix and match. We're going to bring this stuff with us. And then when we get to RK, we'll make it a game time decision of what stays and what becomes a spare. So, we'll bring this stuff down, we'll load it up, and there's another clue. If you can figure out what the car is based on what you see, well, cool. This car is going to be really light. That's one of the fenders.
I think we need to run that.
And it's a metal fender. It is really light.
Well, it's aluminum.
Oh, why did you say that? All right, fine. Now you guys know it's got aluminum body panels.
What cars don't have aluminum body panels these days?
Well, I mean, the Ford's got aluminum body panels, but
It's all aluminum.
I still feel it's really rare for something to be made out of aluminum, even today. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to hear people talk in hushed tones about factory Dodge ultralight cars with aluminum front fenders. I'd never seen one in person, and they're like priceless now if they come up for sale. Yeah, so this one here rubbed on something during transport, and so I don't know if this is the fender we use, but let's bring it. You know, the one that's on the car might be in better shape, but let's bring it anyway. The deck lid we'll leave. We don't need that, but we'll bring the front fascia because this one might work out better than the other one. We'll bring the rear one too for sure.
Might give away your secret in there.
Oh, they're gonna figure it out sooner or later. Once this car ends up in Ryan's shop, everyone's gonna see it. It smells funny in here. Like, what does that smell? Like
I don't know. I didn't fart.
ass and eggs?
I'll tell you this car is probably the widest one we have.
Oh, dude.
Because it literally, it got like this much clearance on the wheel wells inside the trailer on each side. It's crazy.
I'm still not showing it to him. Maybe when we get to Ryan's, I'll show them the car. But not right now.
All right, so am I showing the car or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Let him see it. I'm done hiding it. A lot of people already know what it is anyway.
Dead giveaway.
Yeah, this is Brandon Wilbur's old Lexus LC500 roller. He never finished it, and I intend to finish it. I think this is the lowest car and the widest car we've ever hauled in here, and yet we don't need any extra wood to roll it out.
No,
Just makes it.
it's nice to take the front bumper off though,
It does help. It does help.
especially since it's just kind of dangling there.
Yeah. One of the reasons we're here is that the front fascia is not really attached. It's kind of halfway attached, but it wants to fall off. The rear fascia is definitely going to blow off. I don't fit in the car. When we get inside, I'll sit in it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But the chassis doesn't cert. I don't fit in the car, and a lot of the body panels are going to fly off at 200 miles an hour. Actually, to be honest, they're going to fly off at 80. So
Yeah.
that all gets fixed here at RK Racecraft. Think it's straight. I'm going to come around to you.
Okay. Realize the trunk. Forgot the trunk that doesn't latch. Oops, it should go straight.
Forgot how many birthday
Well, it wasn't that trunk that opened on me.
So yes, it's a Lexus. It's a 2018 Lexus LC500. Kind of a rare car. You hardly ever see them on the road. I've only seen one in real life. And the story is I bought this thing off the internet after seeing it for sale, I think on the Yellow Bullet classifieds. It was either Yellow Bullet or Turbo Bullet, I'm not sure which. And I didn't know the seller, but we had a mutual friend, Jay Marr. Jay happened to be driving home from an event when I called him and said, hey, do you know anything about this Lexus? And he said, no, but I know the guy who's selling it. And his name was Brandon Wilbur, super nice guy. Enjoyed talking to him on the phone. And he was building this to go run radial tire races. Never finished it, plucked the motor and the trans out of it and sold it to me as a roller. And I bought it, and now it is time to get to work on it. We are at RK Racecraft in Cartersville, Georgia. And this is Ryan, my friend, and proprietor of RK. And there's a lot of top secret stuff here. Like, I probably shouldn't even show you the kayak division of RK, but we will, because It's coming. Those of you guys that are super into kayaks, you don't even know what's about coming. We're here
It's almost like a little turbo, you know?
Dude.
There we go.
Yeah, that bomb's gonna haul butt. And the Lexus is here because Brian was kind enough to come to my house, take one look at it, and go, "That's not passing a chassis inspection." So we're here with what started out as him fixing the chassis of the car, and that snowballed into, well, the front end's gonna fall off, the rear fascia's gonna fall off. I don't fit in the car, and then now we're just bench racing all the possibilities of where the turbo's gonna go and where's the exhaust gonna run and stuff like that. But Ryan, why don't we start with, I'm gonna sit in the car, and then why don't you tell the folks at home why this isn't gonna work and how we're gonna fix it?
Yep, that's number one.
Okay.
Making you fit
Yeah.
is first step in this process for sure.
Because that's my favorite part of the car, is the idea that I can get in it and drive it. You know, that would be cool.
Comfortably.
Yeah, I can get in it, but I can't steer it. And if I crash it, it's probably gonna go really badly. The first thing I noticed when I got in it was, well, this is the worst steering quick disconnect ever. And I've never once.
It definitely needs one of.
Yeah, you gotta find the keyway.
It definitely needs one of Doug's.
Yeah, it's gonna get one of Doug's. This is gonna get a motion race for quick disconnect. I'm not even gonna bother trying to struggle to put it on. But here's the deal. I can't turn the steering wheel because my entire left side of my body is up against this part of the cage, which, by the way, there's 2 inches between the cage and the body. It didn't need to be this close, but more importantly, the steering is offset to the right, so I'm not centered on the steering wheel. And so something has to be done, because I can't even, I fit in here, but my head is right up against the bar here because I'm to the left of the cage. Basically, the steering wheel and I need to move this way, but I'm up against this really wide tunnel. So
Tons of room in the middle to make some changes there.
right, like this doesn't need to be this
Nope.
wide.
It just needs to be as wide to get a containment tube in there, which is 5 to 6 inches wide
Yeah.
on the inside, and be able to get it in and out.
We have that much room between the containment tube and me on both sides. And so I don't own a chassis table, and I'm not confident cutting basically the spine out of the car and starting over, which is why we're here.
Which is a lot simpler than trying to move all this aspect of the car.
Right.
So instead of going this way with this stuff, we're going to go this way and move the center of the car.
Okay. And so is it, in terms of steps, is it cut the tree off the dash bar, redo the firewall and move the steering over, and then...
everything in the middle of the car is not NHRA certifiable anyway. The double rails, that is, you can do what you want to do. So a lot of people sleeve it. A lot of people, this guy put the mid-plate bar in first and then just stub the bar straight to it instead of making it a pass-through like we do on like the Pro Mines for breathing systems. So you can literally cut it off right there, cut it off at the back, and cut it off at the lower rail and just build whatever you want to and make it whatever's. Usually, I mean, this is really not even like size-wise. You can do whatever you want. It's just kind of industry standard, like 1.25 inches. What's in here, but.
And so the new bar, you could put a bend in it that kicks it over.
That's
further.
exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's more of, you don't build the double rail and then fit the driver around it. You fit the driver and then fit the double rail around the driver, basically.
Got it.
Especially with a wide car like this. So
This car is really wide. And this car, now that you all know it's a Lexus LC500, it's a long car. Like, it has a 113-inch wheelbase, and the car is very wide. This is much bigger than that Corvette I told you I didn't fit in, and yet already I'm stuck. And so everything Ryan's going to do is going to be in the name of making this safer and more comfortable to drive. You brought up something. Is it too late to make the catch can blow through the chassis to the back?
no,
Okay. Because that would be cool. Because
this is the time to do it if we're going to think about that.
my other cars vent to the engine compartment, and if you ever kill a motor, that's a bad idea. You want that. You want the fluid to go behind you, not
Behind the tires, especially.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. Redo all this.
Making Mike fit, number
Make
one.
Mike fit. All right. And then the second thing.
Hey, please don't forget, we need a comfortable passenger seat for Joe.
Joe's. You're at the bottom of the list, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I gotta be
I'm
honest,
used to it.
a lot of this is gonna change. Like, that's where the battery was. The floppy electrical panel is gonna get redone. The car's gonna get rewired. Like, and yeah, while we're at it, we can make a passenger seat, you know, that that works.
Like a booster seat.
A booster seat.
Booster seat.
Okay. And then, I think you said you were okay with the motor placement. It wasn't ideal, but we can't go any lower with it because of the dry sump pump.
Yeah, we're going to get into it, and
I'm gonna grab the whole.
first things first is kind of determine ride heights of where everything's going to be, take some measurements on some things, and that'll base where we put turbos, front or back. If we can get the
There you go.
if we can get the engine down a little lower, I think it would be a little more suiting for what you're trying to do, but we'll just have to see. We have a dry sump pump right
So it'll be
at the rear control arm mount, but that's not the end of the world either to change if it comes down to brass tacks that we need to make a move there.
Oh, cut the mount off the
Yeah.
A-arm.
Yeah.
We shorten the A-arm and move them, rotate the mount out, or does that screw
Yeah,
up?
they've probably built this with a little anodive in it, which means the rear control arm pivot point is a touch higher than the front.
Okay.
Which in theory tries to keep the nose from diving under braking as much.
Oh, that would be nice.
But some people do it, some people don't. Bickle's always done it.
Okay.
It just depends. It's one of those deals. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like putting battery on concrete. Does it really help or not? You know?
Right.
Does it kill it? Does it? But I've seen cars both ways, and they're all fine. But
Okay.
the biggest thing is just figuring out where we want it and making stuff work around that.
Right. And that brings us to the turbos. We have, originally when I started this build, it was going to be a single Garrett 106 millimeter turbo. Couple different people, including yourself, talked me into doing twins. I ordered a Motion Raceworks front motor plate thinking the twins would go up here, and we haven't decided, are the twins going to go there or
Yeah,
the
we hadn't
twins
ruled
going to
any
go
of
back
that
there?
out.
Yeah, I think until you've got the ride height you want, you kind of can't know where all of that stuff's going to go.
Figure kind of hang a turbo up here. I've got some setups, mock-up stands, turbo stands, and
Yeah.
just kind of do some brainstorming and see what works out the best. Maybe
Yeah.
keep the most heat out of the engine bay, accessibility,
Right.
because now it's not just a race car, it's a street car too.
It's a street
So
car, yeah.
Radiators, oil coolers, tranny coolers.
Yeah, if the turbos go back here, we have a lot of room for a big radiator and oil cooler, trans cooler. If they end up here, then suddenly you're kind of like Ned's Viper, which is a really good street car, but that was not easy to keep that thing cool.
No, it was a challenge.
Like that's not top secret, right?
No.
Okay. Maybe we'll show you Ned's Viper because it's badass. And then the last thing really is none of the carbon fits. The wheel tubs are way too big for what I want to do, and they're eating up all the trunk space. And then, the front fascia and the rear fascia are going to fall off the car. So if you come back here, like the Lexus LC500, there's not a lot of trunk space to begin with, but when it's got that giant wheel tub in there on a car that is only going to have small tires on it, like that's just wasted space. So we're going to change the tubs. This is going to change because that's empty under there. You could put a big fuel cell there if that was gone and redone. And then the carbon floors don't come anywhere near the rocker panel. So while you're driving, you're just eating all the road dirt. The little pebbles, everything, it's all coming up through the floor of the car into the passenger compartment, which if it was just a race car, no big deal, but street car. So the carbon needs to get redone. And then, like I said, the front and rear fascias are gonna fall off. So yeah,
Is this top secret?
I don't know what that is, dude. Like, does it launch the missiles?
Yeah.
Is this old school 90s?
There you
Hey, the
go.
guy in the back turns on the data system when
I
you go
think
to
so.
whole shot?
There you go.
I don't know. And was this like maybe the parachute?
I think they were
Cable?
trying to keep your parking sensors in here.
Oh, maybe that's what it
Backup
was.
sensors.
Yeah. I have a rear fascia that has no weird holes cut in it. And we have a front fascia that hasn't kind of been shot together with tech screws. So yeah, like when it leaves here and comes back to us, it's going to be in way better shape. It's going to be safe, and we can wire it and plumb it and turbo it and have fun, which I'm excited about.
And I think we're just kind of getting it to the point where we're going to hang the turbos,
Yeah.
kind of plan out where everything's going,
Yeah.
allow you to do your favorite thing,
Yeah.
turbo work.
Yeah.
Wire
You
it,
love
plumb
turbo
it.
work, don't you, Dale?
Love building headers.
Love building headers.
I don't have this one. You know, it's amazing. We've literally been fighting the headers on the Cadillac, and you would think, no problem. It's just a big block Chevy and a Cadillac. No, there's no room in there. This has twice the amount of room that the Cadillac has.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For now. Until you stick with turbo in there.
No,
Yeah.
Still, let me tell you, there is no room in that Cadillac. It's crazy.
It's crazy. You think a Cadillac,
Right.
61 Cadillac, it's a big car.
Yeah.
It runs out of room quick.
It's all in the cabin.
It's all in the cabin.
It's all in the
cabin
cabin.
and trunk.
Yeah.
I mean, they shoehorned that 500 in there to begin with, and now you're trying to shove a big block and turbos and headers and
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to the oil tank, the dry sump system, the radiator, the transcooler, like. Yeah.
We have to put those in Joe's driver's seat. Passenger seat.
put the stock bench back in it.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're gonna try. We haven't
Joe,
actually.
you may just have to hold on to the dry sump tank.
Okay,
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah, it might be your footrest, maybe. Your
with
foot will be on the
Like
back.
in NASCAR, they put them inside.
Yeah.
They do, but they wear a fire suit when they drive those.
They do. They do.
We'll have
All
air
of- the whole
conditioning. I'll wear a
time.
fire suit.
We are gonna have air conditioning. We are. I want to show you one of my favorite parts of this car, and that is the removable roof. This one's cracked. This is the one that came with the car, and this is kind of what sold me on this car. Is the cage work looks really nice. Like there's some great welds here, but there's some areas where it looked like a second person worked on the car, and the welds aren't quite as good. And then again, there's the areas of the car where I flat out don't fit, and there's areas of the car that just aren't legal. So all that's going to get fixed. But interesting thing about the Lexus LC500 were some of the options you could get. Like there's a factory optional removable carbon fiber roof panel for these cars. And it's not removable in the sense that it's easy to take off, but it can be removed. But a used one on eBay is $4,500 right now. So we're not gonna buy one of those. We're not gonna put this on because this is already cracked, but we're gonna have to make our own panel there, Lexan or carbon or something. But the other thing that's interesting about these cars is it had a factory optional active aero system where it had a wing here that was on actuators that would come up and down. And we have that trunk panel here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I don't know if we're gonna run it because I don't know what happens to this car at 200 plus mile an hour. Does it need a wing off the back of it? I don't know. But I'm gonna trust Ryan with whatever he wants. If Ryan says we need a wing here, we'll do it. If this is not enough, great. But another reason why I know I should trust him is he has successfully built a drag and drive car, and it's here right now. I want to show it to you guys because it's one of the coolest ones I've ever seen in my life. It's a Viper owned by a guy named Ned Dunphy. He's finished drag week. He's run 640s with it, like on its first or second outing. And I expect big things from this car in the future. And rare opportunity, it's here. So we're gonna go look at that car right now. Do not forget, the contest for my 1970 Datsun 510 is almost finished. That's right. If you go to fsmgarage.com right now, you can have a chance at taking home my epic Datsun 510. Here is a video all about that car. This 1970 Datsun 510 is one of the least trashy cars in the Finnegan fleet, which is why I'm getting rid of it. It's too nice. Well, really, I just have too many cars. And so, you guys can have a chance at putting this in your home garage, plus a bunch of other cool prizes. If you go to fsmgarage.com right now, you can find out how you could own this amazing piss yellow Datsun 510. And it's got a good history. This is the car that I bought at an auction, picked up at the beach, drove to the top of the mountain, went snowboarding, broke my leg, and this car, after catching fire, still got me with my busted leg all the way home back to Georgia. And as you've seen in the episode of Finnegan's Garage, Joe and I fixed all the wiring. Everything that melted, fixed. Still has the hardware store carpet in it, still has the awesome yellow hue, still is lowered on coilovers all the way around, 5-speed swap. Joe and I fixed the shifter. You no longer punch the dash when you shift it. It's got an L18 under the hood. This thing corners. This thing hauls butt for what it is. It's a lot of fun to drive, and I think you guys are gonna love it. Now, when you're at fsmgarage.com right now, you don't gotta buy anything to enter to try to win this thing. But if you do buy a sticker pack, that'll get you 1 entry. If you buy a shirt or a hat, that'll get you 3 entries. If you feel like being extra sweaty this summer and buying a hoodie, that's 6 entries. at a shot at taking this home. You could also maybe win 2 different wire care wiring kits to get your, hot rod, muscle car, boat, whatever you've got, rickshaw, connected and ready to be electric. You could also win some autographed FSM merch, like FSM hats like this one. FSMgarage.com is where you want to go for a chance at any of those things. Thank you, and on with the show. I've never met Ned in person. I just follow him on Instagram, but I appreciate how excited he is on Instagram when he's going out and doing drag and drive things with this car. But now, it's not in drag and drive mode now, right?
No, it's an RVW trim, radial versus world trim,
Right.
currently, which is shedding all the weight as much as possible to try to make minimum weight. And we're right there at it. It kind of snowballed. It was originally a strictly drag and drive car, but then Ned got a little, just like everybody else in drag racing. You go fast, you don't go slower.
Right, right.
So he's saying, I can go faster.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take some more weight out of it. We can go faster. And currently in this trim, which is RVW 315 stuff, it's been 375 at 212.
In an eighth of a mile.
In an eighth of a mile. No quarter mile stuff RVW, just strictly eighth mile stuff.
Right. And RVW stands for Radial versus the World. It's a pretty crazy class of racing.
Mm-hmm.
Does it exist anywhere other than like South Georgia and Ducks races, or is that his thing? Radial
It's kind of really what it is. I mean, some of this PSCA, I think they do something similar in the West Coast stuff, but
Okay.
it's more of a Southeast guy. I mean, Southeast has always been more of a small tire, eighth mile
Okay.
type of cars, I guess you would say.
So right now it's on small tires. When it does stuff like drag and drive events like Drag Week or Sig Week, it's on big tires then.
Bigger, not like a 36, but a 33.5, 17.5, so
That's a pretty big tire.
it's not like Pro Mod big, but
Yeah.
bigger than most are used to.
I wish. Can we take this off? Is that
Yeah,
a
there's
big-
nothing.
There's
in
nothing
it now.
in
There's
it.
no engine. There's no. It's,
I know.
it's gutted, but
I
it exists
wish it was in drag and drive mode because he and I talked a lot about what it takes to survive like Hot Rod Drag Week. Not that I'm an expert in it. I'm not an expert on making it happen. I'm just an expert on, I've seen enough things go wrong where, I know thermal management is the biggest thing. Having stuff that's serviceable, replaceable is important. And this car is so stuffed with things that just the idea that you made this thing not overheat is pretty amazing.
For instance, it went about 3.5 miles before it overheated. The first ever street-driven
Right.
drive went about 3.5 miles.
And then you called me and we talked. And what did you do?
Well, this is the actual RVW front end.
Right.
So it has 2 front ends, and it's here right now getting the motor serviced, and then we're actually going to paint the whole car and just go around. So, which is a good thing because it had a few mishaps in the beginning of the Hot Rod Drag Week deal.
Yep.
But the other front end, of course, open here. We actually added different ducts through here, trimmed the back of the cowl. One of the biggest things was getting air out of it.
Right.
So we had slots cut, NACA ducts here, NACA ducts there, and it still wasn't enough, so we trimmed the back to release air at the windshield, because race cars are usually sealed off at the windshield.
Right.
Or what
And
I'm
then-
used to anyway.
And then you ducted,
We ducted all the radiator. We opened this up.
it has 2 radiators, one on each side.
Right, and then the oil cooler's in the middle, radiators on each side. We built a underneath belly for it.
Yeah.
Ducted everything to completely force all the air to the radiators.
Yep.
We would do one thing, get a little better. Do another thing, get a little further.
Yeah.
And then finally, we opened up some more NACA ducts and cut the back of the cowl, and that really was what turned it around from, it got to where it'd go 10 or 15 miles and get up there, and that turned it around from doing that to, it made the whole 1,000-mile adventure.
Yeah.
Had some problems, valve spring issues, and some stuff that had to figure out on that aspect of it, but actually physically driving, not overheating,
Yeah.
it was all great.
A lot of people forget about that. Like
Yeah.
you're going to get stuck in traffic
I
lights.
did go 640 at 236 at Bristol, and then blew the manifold off at South Carolina.
I saw that. I saw that on the internet. That made a mess of the hood a little bit there.
Yeah, that was the other cow. It actually, it made it a removable hood on accident. But we'll take it off.
Let's
Like I
take it
said,
off.
there's no,
I know it's not in there, but the car is so nice. Like it's worth looking at it anyway. So it's a Dodge Viper, right? Did you guys stretch the wheelbase a little bit, right?
yeah, so it's
and you,
been,
and
we've,
you moved the quarters too, right?
yeah, we stretched it both directions. We stretched,
Because the factory wheel is right up against the door, or real close to it, right? The wheel opener?
yes. Yeah, so we moved the rear 4 inches and we moved the front driver's side 3, passenger side 2 to get a 1 inch stagger. So it's 7 inches longer wheelbase on the driver's side, 6 inches longer wheelbase on the passenger side. I actually built this. It started out, this was a real car, a driving Viper.
Right.
It was a launch edition, one of like 50, I think.
I love that he cut up like
Cut
a
it
real
up.
one.
As you can see, this is the only thing factory Viper left, and then these are another set of doors these are gutted Lexan. He has a second set of doors for the drag and drive, but these are the gutted doors.
Oh, this car is so nice inside.
And then we made molds for everything. So we have a mold for the front. We had to make molds for the rocker, and then we have a complete back half mold as well as wing molds for this, because you can't just pick up the phone and call Tim McCamus and order Viper parts.
Right.
So Keith that worked for me made all the models, made all the molds, and we got a guy in North Georgia that pulls the parts for us.
Dude.
So
I love the back wheels being moved back.
it's a carbon Viper almost, other than the doors. Yes.
Wow.
And the reason being is a lot of these parts are, like the front end started as a real front end, part of the hood, part of the fenders, and then cut and moved and yada, yada, yada. It's just so many man hours in making something like that. But you couldn't build it, and then the stuff is you can't just modify it, because some of it's carbon, the hood was carbon, some of it's plastic, some
Right.
of it's SMC, and it doesn't make for a good product at the end. It gets too heavy, of course, too.
Right.
So we just did what we wanted to and made molds off of it and then made parts.
What's the next event for this car?
It will go to Alabama at the end of June. It's fixing to get blown apart, bodywork and painted, and it will be back in its blue and white instead of the multicolored carbon Viper. Just kind of goes straight off with it
Oh, that is light.
for such a big front end.
That is very light. So now try to imagine there's a billet Steve Morris SMX in there, but there's a radiator here, a radiator there. Trans cooler was here?
Oil cooler.
Oil cooler was there, yeah.
We put the trans cooler in the back with a fan. The oil cooler's right here where it gets natural air to it. We built everything on clevises that way, because we had talked about doing multiple things with it, not just drag and drive. So we built everything clevis, alternators comes off, as well as the drag and drive fuel cells in the back, which is out right now. It's hard enough building race cars, but when you try to make a race car, a street car, that is the ultimate challenge, really. And I have so much more respect. The race car side of things, we're pretty good at that, but I knew nothing about making a race car a street car,
Yeah.
as you've seen when you got here the first day.
Oh,
We had a good idea about it, and it actually worked. All of our original stuff worked, other than just ducting and getting heat out of the hood.
that was my only contribution, because I don't know a lot about race cars, so normally I can't help him at all. But when he said drag and drive, I was like, oh, I know about that. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm like, get the air out and get the air right in there. Like, don't let it go anywhere else. Air right into the core of whatever cooler you have.
It was crazy.
And
And that was actually the
pizza boxes.
You were doing the Daytona in the same kind of time, and you built
Yeah.
a
Cardboard one.
cardboard.
Yeah, that car overheated until we ducted the sides and the top
Pick the hood up.
and picked the back of the hood up,
Yep.
and then the car stopped overheating.
It's kind of that went into a Viper as well. No cardboard, but
That cardboard's still on that car, I gotta be honest. I don't know what that
But,
says
you
about
know,
me.
that's pretty crazy to think that the
there.
dumpster fire technology is in this Viper.
there you go.
I didn't even think about it until right now.
Engine breech. This is kind of like a Pro Mod deal. Breech through the frame rails, runs all the way through the frame rails, bored a hole in the upper cross member, and it comes out the back through hoses. This one has 2 separate tanks, one on each side, because that was just the.
Yeah, so instead of going to a puke tank up there, it's right here.
It's
And
got
that's,
a puke tank per side of the engine.
dude.
This is where the
Yes.
driving fuel cell goes, and this
Okay.
is all bulkheaded off, sealed off. Fire bottles in the back, which we're actually moving to the passenger seat for the radial stuff. Trying to get some weight out of the back towards the middle of the car. Keeps wheeling, getting faster, but
Now wheeling.
now wheeling. So, but there's a lot to go into that
There's a
stuff.
lot of stuff.
You have to know where everything's going to begin with, or you will not have room for it at the end.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a big part of my car, is just staring at it before you ever start.
Yeah,
planned out.
hours of planning before you even start.
Yeah.
It's like building a house. If you don't know where the bedrooms are going or the bathrooms are going, you can't build a house
I
and
was
say,
just
I'm gonna
gonna
put one
say,
here.
it's like you can't build
It's
a house
literally-
without blueprints.
Yeah, you have to have blueprints, and I'm sure they'll make stuff for this, but we're just old school. Everybody in here has been doing it for years and years. That's what's
Do you
good
want
about our
this?
shop too, is nobody is right or wrong. We all have, oh, you can leave like that. We value everybody's opinion too, you know.
Yeah.
Some guy may have a better idea this day than the next guy.
We got bright guys in here for sure.
Yeah, really good. I have a really good bunch of guys. Very blessed in that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna get out of his way because at this point we can't help anymore. I've already given him the pizza bot trick, so yeah. We're gonna leave. We're gonna let him do his thing, and we'll revisit the car at some point when he's making surgery happen. You know.
Sooner than later.
Yeah. Until then, we'll see you on Finnegan's Garage.